Hello, welcome back to NPC Stories! Many adventurers find themselves aboard a ship as it is often the only way to cross a large body of water. But finding a ship is only half the battle. As most parties don't really have any sailing experience, you also need a crew. This week, I have got both a ship and a crew for you. The Rana is the name of the ship whose crew I will be introducing you to over the next 2 weeks. Today we are talking about the ship itself, the captain, and their guide/healer. Rana means moon in Elvish for any of your party members that speak Elvish. The ship itself is smaller and sleeker than most other ships. It has 2 masts with square sails on the foremast and triangular sails on the second taller mast. She is a schooner brig for those of you that actually know ships. I don't. She looks like she's been in a few scrapes with the wood patched in some places, but overall is a fairly solid-looking ship. There are what look like large crossbows mounted to the deck of the ship, one on the port, one on the starboard, and one at the front. The ship's figurehead is a beautiful elven woman with long white hair, her hands cradling a large crystal orb as she stares out to sea. The Rana is a ship for hire, captain and crew willing to do just about anything, legal or illegal, as long as it aligns with their morals. Sometimes they smuggle, sometimes they transport legally, sometimes they have passengers, and sometimes they just do whatever pays the most. The crew is a motley bunch, but fiercely loyal to one another. It is a well-known fact that should you slight one member of the crew, you will have to pay up to all of them. And they are a force to be reckoned with, especially their young captain. Halo Poldare is the half-elf captain of the Rana. At only 19 years old, he's one of the youngest captains on the sea, but that doesn't mean others think they can take advantage of him. Rumors of the Stormborn have been circulating since he was a child, and tales of his ventures have spread among those that share the sea with him. He is fearless and ruthless, and the waves themselves obey his commands. Or so the stories go. The truth is much less fantastic. His human mother was found adrift at sea after the worst storm in the last 100 years. She was clinging to a wooden chest which contained 2 things, a half-elven infant and an elven maid's short sword. They were rescued by a passing captain and taken to the nearest port. Halo's mother was weak after her recent childbirth and sickened by the waves of the sea, so when they made it to shore, she was in no shape to care for an infant. The captain took charge of the child and took him home to his wife. Halo's real mother never quite recovered and remains bedridden to this day. And so he was raised by the captain and the crew of the Rana. He grew up among the ships and docks in the ports of the world and learned to lead and fight and sail from his captain father. By the time he was 18, he had spent more time upon the wood of a ship than the dirt of the land. And so when his father retired to shore, he inherited the Rana and some of her crew. To those that ask about his family or his origins, he doesn't tell them about his real mother and claims that his adoptive father died rather than retired. His business often crosses paths with shadier people, and he does not want to put his family at risk. His reputation is not all falsehoods, as the timing of his birth granted him the powers of the storm. He has never quite come to terms with his gift, and uses it sparingly, usually only to make an impression or out of necessity. One gift he cannot control and would like to be rid of are his dreams. Specifically, he has nightmares before a storm. Halo is 5'8", lean muscle with tan skin. His hair is dark but sun-streaked, and his eyes are the gray of a stormy sea. He wears faded gray studded leather armor and carries 2 short swords, one the elven blade that he was found with. It is a magic blade made to slay goblins and is sentient enough to telepathically communicate emotions. For this reason, Halo likes to do business with hobgoblins and their kind, as they are easier to find and kill should they double-cross him. To strangers, Halo is friendly and confident, and with the ladies, he is suave and flirtatious, but respectful. I believe the word I originally used to describe him was swagtastic. He has a soft spot for family woes that make him prone to striking deals with people in need, such as bartering for passage in exchange for a small job. People often ask why his crew, who are all older and some much more experienced than him, remain under his command. Halo will just shrug, wink, and say, "I'm just that good." But the truth is that he saved most of them from a life of suppression, hate, or abuse. They are loyal to him because they love him and the life and freedom that he has given them. Halo is one of mine and my players' favorite NPCs, and is particularly special to my campaign because he is the long-lost twin of one of my PCs. However, he is not the long-lost twin of one of your PCs, so we're not going to talk about that. Instead, we're going to talk about his most trusted ally. Ina is what's known as a moonseer. She is a high elf that follows an elven goddess of dreams, journeys, and moonlight, which makes her especially useful to the crew of the Rana. Ina grew up in a temple to her goddess where she learned to read omens of the future and interpret dreams. Most interesting of all, she learned to open a person's mind, read their thoughts, and control them should she like, though she would never do so without permission. When a new king came into the throne and banished all worship of gods outside his pantheon, her temple was destroyed and she and her fellow clerics were hunted down. She fled persecution and found refuge with Halo's captain father. When Halo was found, she saved his mother and helped keep him alive until they made it to shore. As he grew, she served as his mother aboard the ship, making sure he found time to learn about languages and magic and navigation rather than just fighting and sailing. As he is now captain, she now serves as his advisor and as a healer and guide to the rest of the crew. Her ability to look into the future helps them avoid any especially dangerous situations, and sometimes she accompanies Halo as he makes business deals to read the trustworthiness of whoever they're dealing with. A few people still quietly worship her goddess now that the new regime has been established, and sometimes they call upon her for small ceremonies or blessings, especially in times of birth, marriage, or death. Ina is a high elf, shorter, with long blonde hair, tan skin, and soft gray eyes. She wears white robes with a silver cloak and a silver moonstone circlet upon her brow. She prefers not to fight, but carries a longbow just in case. She owns a pair of silver rings, known as warding rings, that are used to settle disputes between crew members. The rings grant increased resistance to attacks and magic, but any damage inflicted upon one bearer also damages the other. It is a simple lesson. When you hurt a fellow crew member, you are only hurting yourself, but those that have experienced it remember it well. Ina is very calm and level-headed, even in the face of great danger, and she is fiercely loyal to Halo first and the crew second. She is quiet around strangers, but happy to answer any questions they have, especially about magic or her goddess. She tries to guide those that seem lost, as is her nature, but knows when she is not wanted. Though she is neither first mate or captain, the crew of the Rana know that if Ina gives a command, you should follow it without hesitation. And that is the Rana and some of her crew. As always, I hope this was somehow helpful or inspiring to you. Let me know by liking this video. If you want to see more NPCs in the future, go ahead and click that subscribe button. You can also find me on Twitter at NPC Stories. If you decide to use one of my NPCs, I would love to hear how it went. If you have any good tales, go ahead and let me know in the comments below. Join me next week as we meet more of the Rana's motley crew, a human, a wood elf, a half-orc, and a drow.